Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Mompreneur Podcast. I am your host, Day Smith, owner and founder of Simplicity by Day. And I am so excited to have my buddy on the show, fellow mompreneur, boss mom, doing all of the things, mother of four, tax guru, Kimberley Tara. Kimberley Tara. I keep saying Tara.
Tara's right. You got it right.
Kimberley Tara. Okay. Kimberley Tara is someone I met earlier this year in a mastermind, and she just blew me away with how just on it. She got 4 kids, y'all. She's running a successful tax business. And so I'm like, I need to learn from her first and foremost, and you do too on many levels. So welcome, Kimberley, to the Modern Mompreneur Podcast. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. You know that this is like my jam, like where business and motherhood just intersect. It is my jam. I'm here for it because we're superhumans, moms
Yes.
and business owners. And I believe in sharing the wealth and sharing the knowledge because we're all in this together. We're all living the same life day in and day out with these kids.
Yes. These kids and with these clients in our business, it's like a whole thing. I'm so excited to have you because we were just talking before we press record. I'm like, darn it, we got all this good stuff we talking about before we record. Shame on us. But so Kimberley has 4 kids and she runs a tax business. So I'm gonna let her talk about who she is and who does she serve and how she got into this world.
Yeah, so let me start with the mom and the personal life because I feel like I always jump in to my professional sense and identity and I forget to talk about who I am as a person and my family. So I am married to my husband Chance. We are coming up on 10 years. We're trying to plan our 10-year anniversary trip right now, trying to figure out where to go, kid free for a whole week. So that we met in college. And then we have 4 little kids. They are 6, 4, just turned 3, and 1. So we have 3 boys and a little girl. No, we were not trying for a girl. We just had a 4th baby, but we are all over the moon that it was a girl. And she, I always was going to have 2 kids. I was going to have 2 kids at 28 and 30, a boy and a girl and a boy. That part didn't matter. And so these 4 kids are just the blessings that I didn't know I needed in life. It has taught me so much about really prioritizing the things that matter and becoming a little bit more chill and letting go. And it's so funny because anyone that has met me now, like post having children, doesn't realize how much more relaxed and chill I am. They think I'm very high strung. But my friends who knew me before having kids, they're like, yes, you are so laid back. And I'm really not laid back. But compared to my old self, these kids have like relaxed and chilled me out so much.
They'll do it.
You just, especially with 4, like you just have no choice, right? Like I literally have no choice.
Yep.
So that's what I do on the mom side. It's just, I love them. I love being a mom. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. I didn't know I was going to be a mom to 4 little kids. It's been a season, but it's been a wonderful season. On the business side, I am the owner of the Tara CPA Firm, and I have had my practice for a little over 7 years. It's hard to believe that I'm coming up on 10 years of being a licensed CPA. I'm also a certified tax coach, and we partner with CEO mom service providers so that we can help them build wealth through proactive tax strategy and an ongoing trusting relationship with their CPA. So I'm really here to just change the game on, this financial literacy gap, especially for women, especially for moms, especially for business owners, and really bring to the surface that taxes and business finances, they don't have to be scary. They don't have to be overwhelming. When you partner with the right person, when you learn and you become knowledgeable, you don't have to be an expert, but when you become a little bit knowledgeable in this topic, it all makes sense and it doesn't have to be scary and overwhelming.
Got it. Kimberley was just sharing the ins and outs of her mission, and she was just sharing it so eloquently and laying it out there for us, serving these mompreneurs. And my children, my daughter needed me. I had to pause. I'm like, this is
you probably could have just walked walked away, I'd have kept going. Look, I'd have kept going. And
you would have held it down for me.
I held it down for you, girl. That's what we do for each other. We got each other's backs. That's what we're here for.
I should tell people, like, if you're on my show, you may or may not have to take over because that one may call on me.
I'm just going to mute. And look, I've had to do it before where somebody's like, I'm a mute, and I just keep rolling and we pick it back.
That's a good plan. Oh, I gotta let y'all
as
know.
moms here.
Everybody
that's how we do.
But you can, because you have this life, and you have your own podcast, so you could have ran with it.
I would have kept going, and I've been like, so let's chat about that. And like, you find a nice easy break, right? Because on the back end, nobody wants to have to do a bunch of editing, right? So like, look, we got to have each other's back, girl.
Yes, but he will. I'm like, okay, so now we're going to smush it together. We've done this before. Part 1 and part 2.
But I also think we have to keep it real, right? Like, I don't, my podcast is not meant to be, like, I tell our editors, I'm like, don't overly produce it, right? Like, don't overly edit, because we're all about being raw and transparent. And I just think that that's such an important part of the journey, to be like, yo, we had to pause and take a break because our kids needed us. And that's it's a reality of life.
I know. As much as I try to prep, right? I'm like, this is what's happening. I have a little list. That's what y'all do. Stuff shit happens. Okay, it's okay.
Look, dad can be sitting in the next room, and they still need mom.
Girl, right? I'm like, you had one job. You had one job.
You had one job,
and that's happened. Yeah, it's so funny.
I locked the door. I started locking the door, but then they started banging on my door.
I don't have a lock on my office, and it's like French doors you can see. So I'm always doing the mom arm, like.
Like, and like my 4-year-old, he's our talker. My husband last night, he was like, Gage is that kid that you could put in, he's that person that you could put on speakerphone and just say, okay, every couple minutes, and they just keep talking. And I'm like, oh my God, he is that person, right? So like, I'm holding out the finger to be quiet, and he's just talking.
Oh, poor baby. I'm gonna put him on. You should bring him on. He can be our filler for when we need it.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
You just go. We just go with it.
We're going to go with it. It's his life. So one thing that I did love you were talking about is how you actually serve the mom CEOs, and not making taxes and finances so intimidating, because, women, we often do default to letting, our husbands, our spouses, or male professionals handle that. And as business owners, we need to be in control and empowered to make those decisions. And so the fact that you're focusing on that is great. So tell me, what are like some misconceptions or like myths or ahas that you found with working with mom CEOs when it comes to being smart about your taxes and finances?
Yeah. So we're changing the game. Especially, I think moms, definitely women, but especially as moms, we're changing the game on who the breadwinners are. And I think that it's important to note that, like, especially in our family, at least, it's not my husband makes X and I make Y, and he earns this much and I earn that much. We earn together cumulatively for our family. It's not a tit for tat, but a very aha moment for me. So he's an engineer. So he still works in a pretty male dominated field. I was actually an engineering major before I became an accounting major, and accounting is still pretty male dominated in the whole scheme of things. So a big aha moment for me was that, he got called in to do this thing last minute, and it was all hands on deck. And I was like, no, you can't go. I make a lot of, and he works a very much a corporate job, right? And so we get good health benefits, and he gets good retirement benefits, and he has a consistent paycheck, and all the things that are the benefits of working for corporate. And it comes with a lot of cons too, right? He doesn't have control over his schedule. He doesn't get to say if he works remotely or not. But I have all that flexibility in owning my own business, right? So we take the good, the bad with both, but right, it would cost me an arm and a leg to have health insurance as a small business owner, right? Like, that's a whole conversation that we could have. So, but there was one time that they needed him to come in, and I'm like, dude, I cover you. I change my schedule relentlessly. This is something that I can't change. You need to tell them that you can't come in. It's not your day, and they need to find someone else. And so, so he did. And my husband's a peacekeeper. Like, he's like, I don't want to rock the boat. And I'm like, well, you're gonna rock the boat today because you can't go in. They need to find somebody else to support. And so I remember the next week he must have been talking to somebody and he's like, well, my wife makes almost 3 times as much as I do. And he's like, that person's jaw just dropped. Because most of the wives, most of the women still don't work, especially that generation ahead of us, right?
Yeah.
Where like, they make good livings. And so, and look, I'm not if you're a stay-at-home mom and that is what you're called to do, you do you, girl.
Yeah.
But when he was like, I was astounded by how surprised this person was that like you work and we get this like my wife works from home kind of thing, right? Like, so I don't have a real job, quote unquote, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And I think we
Wow.
all feel that a lot. Like because we sit in our home offices or we don't get dressed up and go into an office every day,
Yeah.
that we mustn't be doing like a real job,
Yeah.
like how can we make hundreds of thousands of dollars a
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
from our home office?
Yeah.
So that was really
Yeah.
eye-opening for me that
Yeah.
like people like we're in the year 2023 and people still think that like the men
Mm-hmm.
are the breadwinners or that we can't be moms and CEOs. Like
Yeah.
how could we possibly do both? And I actually think that as moms, we have a really unique talent and we're uniquely positioned to have these superhuman powers where we can actually very effectively do both. I mean,
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody recently, you might have seen it on my stories day, but she was like, you're such a powerhouse. And I was like, but I'm a tired powerhouse.
Oh,
And I feel like we
that's
need
for
to
real.
admit that. Like we
Yeah.
need to I am a powerhouse, but I am also a tired powerhouse with these 4 kids home and my business is growing and that's such a good thing, but like I'm a tired powerhouse and I know that it's a season. It's not
Yeah.
going to last forever and we're hiring for another position, right? We're in the process of hiring another CPA to come on and help with our client fulfillment because we have grown, but until we get there, I'm a tired powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to be honest. And so I think that that's why I want to be honest, I was really hesitant to niche down to CEO moms in my business
Okay.
because my practice started as a local practice, right? Like I was just only serving local businesses. I had clients in other states because I've lived here in New Orleans, but then I went to Auburn, but then we lived in Atlanta. My husband lived in Boston. His family's from North Carolina. So our friends are all
All
spread out.
over. Yeah.
So I have clients all over, but primarily I was running my business as a local practice. And, when I moved into the online space, because I realized I was like, wait a minute, I can make a way bigger impact on, throughout the country and serving women. And the reality is here in New Orleans, they're just is my ideal client isn't here, right? It's a lot of
Okay. Got it.
maritime industry, construction industry, riverboats, things like that.
Okay.
And it's just not, they're wonderful people, but they're not my ideal client. They're not who I feel aligned with. And so I tried just like female service providers, female coaches and consultants. And
Okay.
every time I went back to that, I just wasn't feeling aligned. Like it felt good, but it didn't
Yeah.
feel like that home run because my kids are such an integral part
Yeah.
of every choice, every decision that I make. It is truly because of my kids and either what I've learned from them or how I need to be present for them. And so I wanted to give that support to moms. And it's also really big. And we have some things coming down the pipeline. It's so important to me that we are educated as moms in money, in finances, in taxes, because not only is that important for the success of our business and our dream lives, but that is also so important for us to be able to educate our kids. And
Yeah.
I want moms to feel so confident in this knowledge in financial literacy that it becomes second nature for them to talk to their kids about it too, because that is how we break these cycles. That is how I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to be more successful than my parents and I want my kids to be more successful than me. And
Same.
the
Same.
education, knowledge is power. And so the more like I didn't realize so another aha moment for me was I didn't realize how fortunate I was that I grew up as the child of 2 entrepreneurs and dinner conversations every night were an economics lesson or an entrepreneur lesson or a financial lesson. Now, we didn't talk about that outside of the walls of our home, right? We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about finances outside of our four walls, but within my home, the conversations were very transparent. They were very educational, and it was
Yeah.
just a way of life. And that is how we are bringing up our children. And I want more moms, especially business owning moms, to
Yes.
feel empowered to have those conversations day to day with their kids. But it starts with them being very knowledgeable on these topics, being very confident, not feeling scared when they hear the word tax, or not saying, I heard I was on a consult call with somebody and she's like, I'm just not good at this stuff. And I'm like, girl, you are good at this stuff because you run two multi six-figure businesses. You are good at this. You need somebody who can bring it all together, somebody who can educate you and teach you, but you are so capable of this, because if not, you wouldn't have these two successful businesses. We just need to refine. We need it to become second nature, but you are good at this. And so we need to break that mindset of, I'm not good at this. I'm not a good business owner. I'm not good at math. Girls can't do this. We need to just stop saying all of that.
I agree. I love that. So one thing you mentioned was being a child of entrepreneurs, and we talked about this when I met you at the
we sat across from breakfast.
Yes, and I was like, tell me more, because I didn't grow up with entrepreneur parents. I grew up with traditional 9 to 5, actually single parent home. So one parent working as much as she could to make ends meet. But I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so now I see that I'm passing this entrepreneurial spirit off to my kids. And that, to me, that has made me have more life skill conversations with my kids, which includes money conversations, which include the conversation about being independent and thinking entrepreneurially about your talents and how you can make a living,
Yep.
And so I love that you've gotten that into you, and you've also passed it on to the kids. And also, the dads, I mean, I too have an amazing husband. We talked about this before we press record, how they're so hands-on and they can do, but they may not want to hear this. But a lot of women, most moms are the CEO of the home, right?
Absolutely.
We know we think about things for beyond today, right? And we plan out everything. We're the ones who usually sacrifice and make compromises to make sure everyone's good. And why wouldn't you think that skill set that you're building would not be a amazing skill set for a business? Like, I often feel like, if you, like you said, if you're a mom and you run a business, you're pretty much magical. I mean, like, the fact that you can do those things, you just are bad. Okay. And I want women to embrace that and know that that power that they have, superhuman power, and not feel like they don't have what it takes to compete and grow a business and be the things they need to be to build wealth. And so I love that. And then you also talk about niching down. So you said that you didn't really want to niche down to mom CEOs, but you have. What has that done for your business?
So it's a pretty recent development, actually. So I don't know that I could say like, oh, I've seen an influx of clients, or, oh, our revenue has increased by X percentage, but I feel aligned in what I'm doing. I feel just lit. I already felt lit up by my offers, right? And I so believe in them. And it's funny because I've learned over the last couple of months that so many business owners out there, especially in my field, they're honed in on their marketing, but then the client comes in and they're having this awful client experience. And I know this because I've had so many clients come to me from other CPAs where they're like, I really thought that this person, like, if you look at their marketing, gosh, I would have thought that it would have been amazing. We're very dialed in on our client side and our client fulfillment and the experience that our clients have. And so now we're working on the marketing to grow. So I would really say, for me, I feel so good about saying I work with CEO mom service providers. I feel so good about saying that I know you want me to educate you so that you can be more knowledgeable about this topic, but that you also want to bring this to your children, and that we're building wealth for them so that they can use their businesses as the catalyst to build their dream life and to give themselves and their kids the things that they want. And we're doing it in a way that feels good as building a sustainable business and really putting our families first. That feels good to me, and that
Mm-hmm.
feels good to the women that I work with. And that's why I'm so grateful that I finally like took the leap and kind of had the
Yeah.
faith to say like CEO mom service providers, because it's really nerve-wracking. And I'm a 3-wing 2. If anybody knows the Enneagram, I'm a 3-wing 2. So Enneagram 3s are the high achievers. I am a high
Okay.
achiever to the core. The 2s are helpers. So like I'm a teacher at heart, right? Like I'm a helper. So it felt out of alignment in some ways to say that
Yeah.
I was neglecting and I was leaving. Like, but what if I'm leaving the moms out? But
Yeah. Yeah.
that aha moment as I was watching. So I never watched like a lot of marketing until this past year. I'm not a big
Hmm.
social media person.
Okay.
Marketing isn't my jam. That's a muscle I've been exercising. And I realized that there are so many incredible female CPAs out there, and they're not moms, and they don't get it. They don't get
Mm.
um they're wonderful at the CPA side of things and the financial side of things, but they don't get that we're doing things differently as moms,
Mm.
that our businesses are being run differently as moms, that we make different decisions as moms, right? When I'm looking to make an investment, let's say I'm looking to make a $3,000 a month investment, a mastermind, right?
Yeah.
When I think of that $3,000 a month, even though my business might be able to sustain it, I'm thinking, but that's money that's not coming to my
Mm.
family. That's
Yeah.
money that I'm taking away from my kids. And that might be a story that I'm telling myself, that I'm taking this money away from my kids. But the reality is, maybe it is an investment that's going to grow my business and I've calculated the ROI, but I'm always being cognizant of the choices and the decisions that I make in my business financially, and the
Mm-hmm.
impact that that has on my kids, and
Mm-hmm.
making sure that they're okay and they're taken care of, right? And so I'll see, and that was kind of an aha, like these posts, like how aggressive they're being, or the
Mm.
risks that they're taking. I'm not willing to take the same risks as a mom of
Same.
4 kids that I
Yeah.
was before I had kids, right? I
Yeah.
think about traveling by myself. What if something happens to me and I can't make it home to my kids?
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
about making that $3,000 investment because they have piano lessons and they need school uniforms and they need this house and they need food. I am not risk averse, but I am very much thinking about my children's well-being as I'm making business decisions. And people who don't have kids, women who don't have kids, they're not wrong for the decisions that they're making. I am
Yeah.
not saying that at all. But they are looking at it through a different lens, because if they're eating ramen for a month, or they have to go back and move in with their parents for a couple of months because they made a bad investment, that's great. They have options. Nobody's going to take me. I mean, my parents would take us in
Take
with our 4
family of
kids.
6 and be
Like,
like, girl, we got an extra room. That is not enough.
right. Right, but I'm not willing
Yeah.
to put my kids' livelihood at stake
Yeah.
because I made a
Got
bad
it.
business investment. It's a
Mm.
different, we
So
just think
important.
differently. And so I want to work with moms who are also saying like, yeah, I know I need to make that investment, but I want somebody who's going to say, you're not wrong for choosing to not make that investment right now because I'm
Mm-hmm.
putting my kids' best interests first.
I love that. I think I would have been kind of scared to say that, and because I'm like, am I offending people who aren't moms? But I love that you say that, because it's not even money. The
Mhm.
time. I make so many
The
decisions based
time.
on time. Like, can I go to this networking event, or something on a Saturday, or something that's going to take me away for a week, or it's basketball season and my weekends are tied up, or I gotta,
Mhm.
you do make these decisions. If you were a single woman or just married and you had a business, you have a lot more flexibility
Yep.
to do whatever you need to do. So it's like you have to compromise and really be more strategic about what you're doing. And I love that you niche down to CEO moms, because I actually have done the same very recently, like this
Mhm.
summer. I'm like, you know what? I want to serve mompreneurs, and I don't have to worry about not serving people that aren't, but those are the ones who get me, and I
Yeah.
get them. And when it comes to being productive and efficient, let me find tools for you to manage business and motherhood, business and parenthood, and the husband. Like, the tools that you need are going to be different. than somebody who doesn't. You're gonna have to fit
100%.
in soccer practice, and you're gonna have to fit in tools that are mobile because you're at gymnastics and trying to get this
Mhm.
done, and it's just like different. So I'm right there with you, and I feel like once you make that clear, I think it does make an impact on how you're seen, because I knew you were a mom, I knew you were a CPA, but I started perking up when you started saying mom CEOs, like your podcast. I'm like, oh, I want to see that. I want to, I relate to you having your kids on the
Mhm.
cover. And it like made
Yeah.
me re-engage with you, even though I knew you and I knew you were a mom, but the fact that you said it helped me as a mom re-engage with you. So I think that you're on the right track, attracting who you want to be
Oh,
working
thank
with,
you.
for
Oh,
sure.
thank you for saying that. Cause it is like, it does get, you're a little worrisome. Like, are people going to resonate with this? Because sometimes I feel like I need to be this like perfectly polished expert CPA, right? And like, God forbid that I, cancel a meeting because a kid's sick but like, that's the reality of where we're at. And I've come around over the last couple of years before I niched down to moms. I'm unapologetically a mom first. And if
Mm,
you can't understand that I might have to reschedule a meeting last minute because I have a sick kid that I have to go pick up from school, you're not the right fit for me, because my kids will
girl,
always come first, right?
say that.
Like,
I'm gonna put a
and
pin
I
on
want to
that one.
support you. And I
Yeah,
want to support
that
you.
grace you have to
I
have.
never, Yes, and I never get offended if a client has to do that last minute to me,
Hmm.
right? It's like, I hope the little one feels better. Let me know, and if you can't find anything in my schedule in the next couple weeks, let me know, we'll work something out, right? Like, kids come first. Always
Yes,
family first. We
always.
are creating family first businesses, and I
Yes.
want my clients to feel safe. I don't want them to feel shame. I don't want them to hesitate for a second when they have to cancel or can't show up or something's late. I don't want them to hesitate for a second that I'm going to bill them, or I'm going to be mad at them, or I'm going to let
Write
them
them
go
off.
because they went and picked up their kid from school because their kid is sick, right? Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another
And that,
thing, Day,
oh, go
that I
ahead.
see is, these entrepreneurs, these women who are business owners, they're touting how quickly they grew or how rapidly they
Mm,
grew or they did this or they did that. But they have, if they want, 80 hours a week to work, right? They don't have anyone else that they have to take care of. And I want to make sure that anyone listening who maybe is not a mom, I am
mm,
not saying that what you're doing is wrong, or I'm not downing you. I'm just saying it's really different when you have little ones that are counting on you to be there for them, to take care of them. My days, my time is not my own. My schedule revolves around their schedule. And that's a choice
mm.
that I made. And that's a choice. That's how I want it to be. Okay, my world doesn't like only revolve around them, but
I
I
get you.
want to put them first, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't have 80 hours a week to focus on a launch or to come back to my office for hours on end. My days are constantly interrupted by children and their needs and their activities that I want to be present for. And so
Yeah.
I think that it is
Mm.
unrealistic for us as moms and CEO mom business owners to be comparing ourselves to women who don't have kids. That's just a fact. We can't compare. And
Man.
so
Woo.
that was another aha
Girl.
moment. Like, I can't compare myself to somebody who has 80 hours a week if they choose to work.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have that. I don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you are preaching to the choir, girl. I remember when I started my business, because I already had kids too,
Mm-hmm.
and they were under 3
Yep.
too. And I
Oh,
said,
those little ones are even
ugh,
a different ball game if you got older kids.
ugh, true. And I said, I want to find somebody who is a mom of little kids, who works, because I'm corporate too, has a business and a husband. And I want to talk to that person. It's almost as if you don't have those things going on,
Yeah.
you ain't gonna get what I got going on, because that's not your life. And I couldn't find a lot of people that were doing
Nope.
that. I eventually did. It's kind of like I walked into it and they came to me, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we get it. That was one of the reasons why this podcast was born, because I wanted a space for people who understand this life of raising a family and running a business, and what that looks like, and be real with it. Because like you said, we don't, our time is not ours. We make decisions differently, financial decisions, time management decisions. You have a spouse to think about if you do,
Mhm.
and you have to move differently, as me and my sister
Yeah.
say, as a mom, you move differently. So
You
I love
do.
that you said that. And again, no knock on someone, because there's people who listen who are even guest hosts who don't have kids yet, who serve mompreneurs, and they get it too. I mean, I've had a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I get it. I don't have kids, but I totally get what you're saying." And thank you for that grace, because you'll see once you come over to the dark side,
Yeah, yeah,
and
it's
we'll
like,
give you the
"Thank you
grace.
for the grace,"
Yes.
because, I'm glad that you get it, but you actually really don't fully get it until
Oh,
that baby comes out of you.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you
yeah, yeah.
actually even being pregnant, I didn't really get it until that baby was laying on my chest, and I was like, "Holy crap,"
It's on
I
now.
get it. It's it's real now. It wasn't even real until the baby was out. It wasn't even real when that little baby was inside, right?
Mm-mm,
But,
mm-mm.
and that's the thing is I think just finding your people, because the other thing too is
Mm,
sometimes you just want to vent, not complain. You just want to vent, right? About the overwhelm or the frustration. And I think that sometimes for business owners who don't have kids, um it seems like complaining, but sometimes it's just venting. And so I sometimes I need my mompreneur friends to understand that I'm not complaining. I'm just
hmm.
venting because it's just been a rough week or a rough day, or I'm
Yeah.
just feeling some overwhelm or some frustration. And I'm not mad at my kids. I'm not mad that I have kids. I'm not mad about my business. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it was just a rough week. And so sometimes, I think that our problems are different when we have kids versus when we don't have kids. And again, it doesn't make it right or wrong. It just makes it different. And so that solidarity for me sometimes is really, I think
Mm,
it's really important to have that so that I can feel I have a safe space to talk about it where it's not misconstrued as complaining about my kids or complaining about having kids. It's a
yeah.
reality of life sometimes.
It is. And we should be able to do that. We shouldn't feel ashamed about it, because, and I think we should talk about it more so that people are not, it doesn't become like a shaming
Mhm.
situation where like, how dare you, you're able to, you have a family and you can't complain. Yes, I can. And I'm still going to be grateful for them and love
Mhm.
them and I'm going to keep doing this life too. I'm going to keep
Yeah.
running my business, but I'm going to have bad days
Yep.
just like anyone else. So I
Yep.
love that. And this is the place, and your podcast is the place, which we'll talk about in a second. Because I want people to know how they can connect with you and all the good things. So before we do that though, I want to move on to my favorite part of the podcast, and that's the lightning round, where I
Okay.
get
Oh,
a
wow.
little bit more personal with
Okay.
Kimberly. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and the first thing that comes to the top of your head, spit it out.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What are 3 words to describe you today?
Efficient. Wow. Genuine and happy.
Love it. Love it. What would you tell your 18-year-old self today?
Not to stress so much, not to save so much.
Mm,
I openly share that one of my biggest regrets financially is not doing study abroad while I was in college, because I had a lot of student loans and trying to keep scholarships, and I had a major change, and I didn't want to spend the extra 10,000 to do that study abroad semester, and I really regret that because that's something that I cannot go back and
mm,
recreate. And in the whole scheme of $100,000 of student loans, when it was all said and done, like that 10,000, I graduated with 10,000 in savings and $100,000 in student loans, and I so regret to this day
mm,
not doing the dang study abroad because I can't. There's no way to go back
mm,
and recreate that
mm,
experience.
Okay. Okay. What does it mean to you to be a modern mompreneur?
That my husband and I share the roles and responsibilities not equally. This is definitely not equal in our house, but I am grateful for having a supportive husband who helps with the laundry, helps, with dinner and anything that needs to be done, dropping the kids off. He dropped the kids off at camp today, right? So I'm super grateful that we have a more equitable split than what we've
Mm,
typically seen in the past.
love it. Love it. What do you love about being a mom?
Seeing the world through my kids' eyes. I know that sounds like so cliche, but they have just taught me to slow down. They have taught me to appreciate the little things, that it doesn't have to be overcomplicated to have fun and joy in life, and to just be present with them, and not need to plan out like these big elaborate events, that sometimes simple is better, just going for a bike ride and just spending time together. And so I'm very grateful to them for that.
Awesome. Good. What are you reading, watching, or listening to right now?
Reading, I am rereading Atomic Habits right now. I'm a big Audible junkie. And
Yes.
there are a couple books that I reread every year to remind myself. So I'm currently on Atomic Habits.
Love it.
Listening, so I guess that's like reading and listening.
Yeah.
I also I'm kind of like a not heavy metal fan, but Breaking Benjamin is one of my favorite bands. So if I'm
Mm,
listening to some music to decompress, it's going to be Breaking Benjamin.
okay.
And watching, like I don't really watch. If I'm watching something, it's probably like a course that I've purchased and I'm rewatching
Okay.
it. I will sometimes turn on reruns to try and fall asleep at night because my brain has a little bit of trouble shutting down. And so if I
Mm-hmm.
am watching something, it's going to be like a rerun of Friends, a rerun of The Office, or a Schitt's Creek. Those are probably my three go-tos.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yes, I love that. It's a nice little well-rounded thing you have to do, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. What is bringing you joy in your life now?
Leaning into simplicity. Honestly, I can't, like, I have just simplified my business so much over the last
Mm,
6 months in preparation for growth and scaling, but still giving our clients the same customer client experience,
mm-hmm.
elevated experience that they have grown to know and love, to ensure that we maintain that, but that we can also scale and make an impact on more CEO moms, but also not having me come back into burnout, right? Because I've done
Mm,
burnout probably twice in my business, in the 7-year journey. And so just saying, like, when I'm done, I'm like, come, I serve my clients, they get all of me when I'm working, and then I turn it off and I go be mom. And so leaning into simplicity in my business, but also leaning into simplicity at home, and not being like, oh, we need to go do all these elaborate things on a Saturday.
mm.
Nope, we're just going to play in the backyard and have a water day and have some water balloons that we bought and squirt the hose at one another and put the sprinkler on. I am just, because I overthink things, I overcomplicate things, I try to make things elaborate, and I have been leaning into simplicity since our fourth child was born, because it just makes life so much more enjoyable.
Love it. Love it. Leaning into simplicity. That may be the title of this thing here. I love it.
Go for, wow, that anybody who knew Kimberly in the last 10 years would be like, Kimberly and simplicity don't go in the same
She has
sentence.
evolved, and y'all better get ready for the new Kim, okay? Because she is here, okay?
2.0,
Yes.
maybe
So
more like 5.0.
that's okay. I'm like 3.5. We still working on it, girl. It's okay. So, okay. So, how can people connect with you and talk about, because we didn't do this at first, what are some things that they would identify within themselves to say, I need to work with Kimberly and her firm?
Yeah. So definitely being a mom. And look, we have some women who aren't moms in the community, and they're incredible people too, and I love them. So, you don't have to be a mom to work with me, but just know that every decision that I make, most things that I talk about are coming from a place of being a mom, and a mom to little ones. So business owners, there's just unfortunately not a lot of tax strategy that we can do if you're not a business owner.
Okay.
Being a business owner gives you a unique opportunity to use the tax code to your advantage,
Okay.
to build wealth through tax strategy. So being a business owner, I would say when you're starting to approach the 85,000 gross revenue mark, you should definitely be starting to think about tax strategy and how you can implement it and how you can use it in your business to keep more
Okay.
cash in your pocket, use it to start building wealth. So that's another metric that I like to put out there. US based is important because, again, I am a CPA licensed in the US
Mm-hmm.
using the IRS's tax code. So being US based is pretty important. Someone who is growth minded and forward thinking, but doing that in a sustainable way, right? I'm not working with too many moms who are looking for overnight success. They are looking to build a family first business. They are looking to use their business to build wealth for themselves and their kids, but in a way that is aligned with being a present mom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, those are pretty much the only requirements. Be honest, be truthful. Like, we're very genuine and real
Yeah.
around here. This isn't, I don't expect you to come to our calls and have all your makeup on. Like, nope. Sometimes, we're on day 5 hair with as much dry shampoo as can sustain us, right?
Come as you are.
Come as you are, man.
Yes.
If you're holding a baby on your lap, last year when our little one was born, I started a mastermind. She was born on a Thursday, and the mastermind kickoff call was on a Monday, and I held her that whole call. But it
Oh,
felt good. It felt good. I'm not saying that you need to do that as a mom, like be on a call 4 days after giving birth, but that felt good for me, right? That
got
felt
it.
that felt
Do what
aligned for
is
me.
good for you. Yes.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
we're just a very safe, supportive community. So that's a good way. And then to find me,
Mm-hmm.
my landing page on Instagram, if you will, because I don't post a ton on Instagram, is at Tara CPA Firm. I love the voice DMs. I just love hearing your voice.
Yes.
I love you hearing my voice. And so that is my favorite way to
Okay.
really connect with other CEO moms so that we can start that conversation, because I believe in that honesty and transparency. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can definitely tune into the CEO Moms Building Wealth podcast. We have a mixture of guest episodes and solo episodes, and Day's going to be a guest when I start recording again, when it's
Yay.
quiet after summertime, because
Hey. Yeah.
there's no quiet in this house right
Not,
now. So
mm-mm. No quiet
we're
over
just
here.
trying. I'm just like, let's just get everybody back in school. So we just launched season 2, and we have just had
Awesome.
already some incredible guests. There are some solo episodes where I'm teaching you
Mm-hmm.
strategically some action items that you can take to build wealth. And so yeah, come into my world and definitely listen to the podcast. Send me a DM on Instagram. I would love to chat with you.
Love it. So we'll put all of Kimberly's information in the show notes, how to find our Instagram, the voice messages, which are gold, really is. It really is for a busy
Love
mom.
it.
And then the podcast, we'll talk about that. And it's great that she's not only having guest hosts to talk about their experience, but she's giving you some strategy too. So you're going to learn something on her podcast. So make sure you tune in. Well, thank you, Kimberly. This was like one of the best conversations I've had about momming and running a business. I mean, the realness, the rawness, the honesty. When you said genuine, that's spot on. When you talked about being happy, you can tell that you are in a very beautiful place right now, focusing on who you want to work with, growing your business. I mean, like she's killing it. I mean, and
Thank
raising
you.
these babies. I mean, I'm so inspired by you and proud to support you in any way. So thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Anything you want to say to the listeners to close us out?
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. And I want to make sure that the listeners know that it hasn't always been this way, right? I've gone through seasons of burnout. I've gone through times of feeling misaligned in my business, or overworked, or not knowing what the next step is. So I'm choosing simplicity. I'm choosing to be happy. I'm grateful that I feel like I've arrived, and I know that there's going to be another iteration, but I don't want it to I don't want it to seem like everything is perfect, like everything is
Mm,
going well, and like it's always been this way. This is the leaning into simplicity and letting go of a lot of things in the last couple of months has really led me to this. So I don't want you to be like, oh, this girl having it all together. No, no, no. Like, we all go through seasons. It's not always like this. I wouldn't say that my word would always be happy, right? So just please know that everybody's journey, it ebbs and flows as a mom, as a business owner,
hmm
especially as a mom who is a business owner. So know that it's not always like this. I'm grateful that it's like this. I'm choosing to work very hard to lean into that right now. But I'm so big about the honesty, and nothing is ever always as perfect as it may seem.
I couldn't have said it better. Love the journey, embrace the journey that you're on. And when you need help, reach out to some experts
Yeah.
to help get you to where you need to be. So if you're listening and you enjoyed this wonderful conversation, it's girlfriends chatting, mompreneurs chatting, share it with your friends, your fellow mompreneurs, your community. Subscribe to the Modern Mompreneur podcast. Scroll down and follow Kimberly. Subscribe to her podcast. Just get connected with her because she's someone you definitely want to learn from as a mompreneur or aspiring mompreneur or someone who needs to get her taxes together and build wealth for her family. Okay. She's the one you need to connect with because she is serving a unique population. She's serving us, y'all. So she's the one you want to connect with. So thank y'all for listening to this episode with Kimberley Tara with Tara CPA Firm. And always remember, mompreneurs, to give yourself permission to live your own dreams so that you can be your full potential. So thank you guys for listening. Until next time, take care.